I called for Fani Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney, to step down and recuse herself from the Georgia election case against Donald Trump, after, among other things, admitting to a relationship with the special prosecutor that she picked in the case. And now one of Trump's co-defendants is accusing her of lying in a court filing about when the relationship started. Okay. Tonight, I want to talk about another high-profile legal figure who I believe should recuse himself from a different Trump case on a different side. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. I believe he should have recused himself from the case that will determine whether Donald Trump can appear on the 2024 primary ballots. Tomorrow, the U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments over the Colorado Supreme Court's decision to keep Trump off the primary ballot under the 14th Amendment, the so-called insurrection clause. Now, when I said that trust in the legal system is paramount when it comes to Fani Willis, same thing applies to Justice Thomas in connection with his wife's connection to January 6th. His wife, Virginia Thomas, who goes by Ginni, attended the Stop the Steal rally in Washington, D.C. that later led to the storming of the Capitol. She didn't go to the Capitol. But she wasn't just a Trump supporter. She actively tried to help overturn the election results. Exactly why the Colorado Supreme Court says Donald Trump should not be able to serve. On November 10th, 2020, Ginni Thomas texted White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows 29 texts urging him to fight, try to reverse the election results, writing, "Help this great president stand firm, Mark. You're the leader with him who's standing for America's constitutional governance at the precipice. The majority knows Biden, and the left is attempting the greatest heist of our history." Ginni Thomas also apparently wrote dozens of emails calling on Republican legislators in Wisconsin and Arizona to intervene, with one saying, "Article 2 of the United States Constitution gives you an awesome responsibility to choose our state's electors. Please take action to ensure that a clean slate of electors is chosen." She's lobbying state officials. Again, there are people in various states charged criminally now for the so-called fake elector schemes. But it didn't stop there. She also allegedly corresponded with John Eastman, a former Thomas clerk and Trump-allied lawyer who played a role in pressuring then Vice President Mike Pence to block certification of the 2020 election. Justice Thomas recused himself in only one case so far related to January 6th, and that was one regarding Eastman. Why shouldn't he recuse himself from this case, too? His wife's past comments and actions definitely test the Supreme Court's new ethics code, which all 9 justices signed last year. And part of it reads, a justice should disqualify himself or herself in a proceeding in which the justice's impartiality might reasonably be questioned. That is, where an unbiased and reasonable person who is aware of all the relevant circumstances would doubt that the justice could fairly discharge his or her duties. And when it comes to disqualifying himself because of his wife's actions specifically, the ethics code says it's appropriate when the justice or the justice's spouse has an interest that could be substantially affected by the outcome of the proceeding. Clarence Thomas signed that. His wife was not just a supporter, not just an attendee at the January 6th rally. She was a prominent and active participant in an effort to overturn the election. Everyone she lobbied knew her last name. She clearly has an interest in the outcome that is far more than just as an advocate or voter. And for the record, by the way, I don't think the former president should be removed from the ballots. I'm confident even without Justice Thomas, the court will determine that Trump cannot or should not be excluded. This isn't about what the outcome should be. This is about retaining faith in our legal system. And with Justice Thomas remaining on the case, it seems hard to do that. But we try to reflect all sides on this show, which is why I debated someone who thought Fani Willis should not recuse from the Georgia case. Thank you for watching. Go to NewsNationNow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.